Your adult life is a reaction to a child who never healed. Have you ever reacted to something in a way that felt irrational but familiar? Nostalgic even. Like you got angry too quickly, felt abandoned over something small, or sabotaged something good without even knowing why. Carl Jung believed that these moments aren't random. They're echoes, whispers from the past. Maybe you don't even remember any trauma from your childhood, but it's in your subconsciousness, and it's affecting how you do things your whole life. Perhaps you don't remember it because it's a defensive mechanism of your brain. It's deleting those bad memories to defend you. Maybe you lost someone early. Maybe somebody hurt you or betrayed you. Maybe your parents were always fighting in front of you, and you had anger issues. These things follow you throughout your whole life because these are some of the first things you learned from the time you were born. You might not even remember it, or when you do, you don't feel anything about it. But your body remembers, your subconsciousness remembers, and it's affecting you even if you might not know it. According to Jung, your childhood doesn't just shape who you are, it controls who you become until you confront it. The unloved child, the unseen child, the one who had to grow up too fast. That version of you is still living inside, pulling strings beneath your awareness. Maybe you are aware of it, but you have buried it deep inside and you are holding it in. You may think you solved the problem that way and it will go away, but it is always there and you feel it every time you remember it. In this video, we're going to dive into Jung's theory of the inner child, the shadow self, and how your earliest experiences may still be dictating your choices, your relationships, and your deepest fears and pains. Carl Jung called this wounded part of you the inner child. It's not just a metaphor. It's a real psychological force that lives in your unconscious. It's the part of you that learned what love feels like and what abandonment feels like. The part that learned how safe or unsafe the world is. And here's the hard truth. If that child never felt seen, you might still be chasing attention. If that child never felt safe, you might still be living in survival mode. If that child never felt loved without conditions, you might still think you have to earn love to deserve it. This inner child doesn't speak in words. It speaks in patterns, in overreactions, in emotional flashbacks. When you are laying in bed at night, alone, you might think about your childhood and get flooded with emotions without even knowing or understanding why. Jung believed that the path to becoming whole, what he called individuation, requires confronting this child, not ignoring it, not pushing it away, but meeting it face to face, with compassion. That child is not you anymore, but it's a part of you, and you need to listen to it. It's almost like you are listening to another person. You think to yourself, why do I feel this way? This is not me, but it is a part of you you have forgot about. You have to listen to it and accept it, self-reflect, accept that this is who you are now and this vulnerable child is who you were. Because healing doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means finally giving that child what they didn't get: safety, understanding, a voice. And that's not easy. It requires looking at the parts of yourself you've hidden, even from yourself. The rage, the fear, the shame, the grief, all the feelings that were too much for you back then, you have to face them now. Childhood is an answer to a lot of questions you might have. If you forgot about it, you might not even know you are. You might be asking yourself that question, who am I? And the answer may lay in your childhood. Remember yourself. If you don't know why you are reacting to some things too emotionally or too aggressively, just remember what you were like as a child. How did you react as a child? Why did you react that way? Ask yourself those questions because self-reflection is the key to finding, understanding, and healing your true self. Sometimes you might not get the answers you want, but if they are the truth, then you must accept them. There is a great quote, "Truth is not what you want it to be. It is what it is, and you must bend to its power or live a lie." So accept the truth, even if it's harsh, or live a lie. If you made mistakes, accept them and learn from them, or let the regret drill a hole in your stomach. Carl Jung believed that much of who we are today is shaped by what we refused to look at yesterday, and for most of us, that begins in childhood. He wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." What does that mean? It means that the things we ignore, the memories, emotions, fears, and unresolved pain, don't just disappear. We can't just forget them. They go underground. They become part of what Jung called the unconscious. And from there, they quietly shape our beliefs, our choices, even our personalities. Jung taught that self-reflection is the doorway to healing. He believed that self-knowledge isn't just helpful, it's essential. To heal, you must remember not just what happened, but who you were before the world told you to forget. You must sit with your past, not to stay there, but to free yourself from it. But this is not easy. It is very hard and very painful, especially if you try to face it alone. It will break you completely. So the best way to deal with this is to talk to someone. You don't have to be serious about it. Talk about it through small talk. Mention it sometimes. You don't have to make it direct and serious. Just talk about what you think about it to someone who will listen. It can be anyone you trust, your family, your friends. But if you don't trust anybody and can't even talk to anyone, this is why you are here, and we are going to try to fix it. If you have been betrayed many times, you will not easily talk to someone about your vulnerability, your weaknesses, because in the past, someone might have used it against you, and the pain from that experience taught you not to trust easily. And so now, you are alone, wounded, and can't talk to anybody. The truth is, you've been alone your whole life. You are alone in this world. Nobody can get close to yourself as you can. Nobody is in your head but you. It's your mind, your body, your single soul. Yes, it's easier when somebody else heals you, but if you have nobody, you must do it yourself. If you can't heal yourself, it means you don't love yourself. And the question why brings us to the past again. Your past, your childhood, those are the roots of your life. And if they are rotten or cut, you will not grow properly. But there's another part of you Jung warned us not to ignore. Not the child, but what the child became to survive. The rage, the envy, the control, the guilt. Jung called this hidden part of the psyche, the shadow self. The shadow isn't evil. It's simply everything you've rejected about yourself, everything you were shamed for, everything that hurt you. Take heartbreak, for example. Some people, when heartbroken, turn into heartbreakers themselves. This is their shadow self. The shadow self is what you become after you've been hurt. But this is not real you. This is a defensive mechanism. It's what you made yourself become to bear the pain. It's revenge. In judgments you throw at others, those are really aimed at yourself. Jung said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, because you must admit you are not just light, you are also darkness, and the goal is not to erase that darkness, but to integrate it, to understand where it comes from, to realize that your anger was once your only form of protection, that your jealousy is rooted in wounds of comparison, that your pride was built to shield your most fragile self. Your inner child isn't your enemy. It's a map pointing to the places inside you that still need love, still need healing, still need to be seen." And here's the truth. Most people never face their inner child. They run from it. They pretend to be good, pure, perfect, while secretly suffering under the weight of what they've repressed. But if you're here, listening, reflecting, questioning, that means you've already begun something rare. You're not running anymore. You're turning inward. And that's the beginning of transformation. Because when you face your shadow, when you listen to your inner child, you stop living in reaction and you begin living in truth. So the inner child is light, it's pure, it's good. And the shadow self is actually that same child after it's been hurt, but with a mask. That child put a scary mask on its face so nobody can hurt him anymore. But he didn't realize that this mask also scares good people to not get close to him, so the inner child will get hurt and the shadow self will hurt others. You don't want to be either, but you want to be both, because if you can balance both, you will become whole. Jung believed that true healing only begins when we stop identifying with the mask, what he called the persona. The persona is the version of you that you show to the world, the polite, composed, socially acceptable self. It's not a lie exactly, but it's not the whole truth either. It's who you became to be accepted. It's who you had to become to survive in a world that might not have loved the real you. But beneath the persona lives the shadow, the parts of you you hide, not just from others, but from yourself. And that's the problem. You've been hiding yourself from yourself. You've been deceiving yourself for others. It's okay if you don't show your real self to others. Not everybody needs to know all your secrets. But you need to know yourself. If you do know yourself and don't like yourself, then change, but don't lie to yourself. Think about this for a second. The parts of you that you hate the most might just be misunderstood cries for help. A broken heart pretending to be tough. A terrified child pretending not to care. A wounded soul pretending to be strong. And if you can begin to see those parts, not with judgment, but with curiosity, then healing becomes possible. This is what Jung called integration, the process of making the unconscious conscious, of merging the light and the dark within you, not to become perfect, but to become whole. Jung didn't believe in perfection. He believed in wholeness, in accepting your contradictions, in making peace with your complexity. You are not just one thing. You are many things, sometimes even conflicting ones. You can be gentle and angry, broken and healing, afraid and brave at the same time. Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Facing the shadow is uncomfortable, painful, but it's also necessary, because if you don't face it, you project it. You'll start seeing your own rejected self in other people. You'll judge them, blame them, even hate them, when really it's your shadow you're fighting. Projection is the enemy of self-awareness. It's easier to say, "They're the problem," than to ask, "What does this trigger in me?" But the moment you stop blaming and start reflecting, the moment you ask, "What is this reaction trying to teach me?" you reclaim your power. You stop living as a victim of your past. You start living as the author of your story. But this isn't just philosophy, it's science. What Jung spoke about, the inner child, the shadow self, the unconscious, modern psychology is now proving in brain scans, in therapy rooms, and in trauma studies. When you experience trauma as a child, especially before your brain fully develops, it leaves a mark, not just emotionally, but biologically. According to trauma expert Bessel van der Kolk, your body keeps the score. Even if you forget what happened, your nervous system doesn't. Your heart rate still spikes when someone raises their voice. You still freeze when someone walks away. You still feel not good enough, even when everything on the outside says you are. Because trauma isn't always what happened to you. Sometimes it's what didn't happen. You weren't held, you weren't heard, you weren't protected, and your brain learned to survive without it. That's why you might overreact to something small. That's why a simple comment can feel like a rejection. It's not irrational. It's a neurobiological echo of a wound that never closed. Neuroscience has shown that early trauma changes how the brain works. The amygdala, which scans for danger, becomes hyperactive. The prefrontal cortex, which helps with rational thought, slows down under stress. And the hippocampus, the part that processes memory, gets confused. You might not remember the trauma clearly. You might feel like it happened to someone else, or like it never happened at all. But your body remembers. Psychologists call this dissociation, a defense mechanism. It's your brain saying, This is too much. I can't handle it right now. So it buries it. Not to erase it, but to protect you. But here's the truth. What you bury doesn't die. It waits. It waits in your relationships, in your triggers, in your self-doubt, in the way you push love away or chase it too hard. Studies in attachment theory show that the way we were loved as children becomes the blueprint for how we love as adults. If love meant walking on eggshells, you might still be anxious in relationships. If love meant proving your worth, you might still believe you have to earn it. If love felt unsafe, you might still be scared of being truly seen. And when you're not aware of it, when your inner child is still in pain and your shadow still in hiding, you live on autopilot. You call your patterns fate, but they're not fate. They're unhealed parts of you, repeating until they're finally heard. The good news? Healing is possible. And it's not just about letting go or moving on. It's about reprocessing what happened in your brain, your body, and your heart. Studies in trauma therapy, like EMDR, IFS, and somatic experiencing, show that the brain can be rewired, the nervous system can calm, and one of the simplest yet most powerful tools for healing? Talking. Not even in a deep, dramatic way. Even just mentioning the pain, slowly, casually, to someone you trust, helps the brain make sense of it. You can even share some of your memories in the comments. Try and see if it helps. Verbalizing your story activates the part of the brain that brings logic and calm. This is why therapy works. But even outside therapy, connection heals what isolation created. But even without connection, without anyone on this world showing up for you, show up for yourself. Have that grit and stubbornness to beat all that hurts you. You are not the only one in that situation. There are many examples of people who made it through a bad childhood and the consequences of it. Mike Tyson. When you hear that name, you probably think of the knockouts, the power, the success. But before he was the youngest heavyweight champion in history, he was just a scared kid growing up in Brownsville, Brooklyn, one of the toughest neighborhoods in America. His mother was absent. His father vanished. And by the age of 13, he'd already been arrested 38 times. Tyson didn't just fight in the ring. He fought for survival. He once said, "I was a scared little boy who wanted love." But the world didn't give him love. So he learned to take respect by force. And yet, in his rawest interviews, behind the bravado, you can still hear the wounded child in his voice, the vulnerability, the pain. He cried before every fight, and his childhood clearly affected his life. But with his grit, he committed himself to the sport and became a champion. Maya Angelou was silent for years after trauma, but when she finally spoke, her voice changed the world. There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. Trevor Noah, born during apartheid, watched his mother fight to protect him. He turned his story into comedy, not to forget, but to reframe. These people didn't escape their pain. They faced it. They transformed it. And so can you. You don't have to be famous. You just have to be honest with yourself. Maybe you didn't get the love you needed, but you can still give it to the parts of you that never got it. You can be the one who says, "I see you. I believe you. You didn't deserve what happened, but you deserve to heal." Love yourself, and you will be enough for yourself. And when you love yourself, you can be loved by anyone. There is, quote, "You must help yourself first before you can help anybody else." And it can be rephrased to, "You must love yourself before you can love anyone else." Or, "You must love yourself before anyone else can love you." How is anyone going to love you when you don't even love your own self? It doesn't make sense. So fix your trauma, love your inner child, understand it, accept it, and become yourself again. Become whole. Healing isn't a finish line. It's a quiet unfolding. Some days you'll feel like you've moved mountains. Other days, like you're back where you started. But you're not. You're never really starting over. You're starting from experience. You are making a checkpoint. You are the story of everything you've endured and still chosen to feel. And that takes strength no one sees. The world may never applaud your quiet growth, your invisible battles, or the way you choose kindness over chaos. But you'll feel it, in the way your breath softens, in the way you sleep a little easier, in the way pain becomes memory instead of identity. So be patient. The healing is already happening, in moments too small to measure, but too powerful to ignore. I hope this video helped you. Don't forget to subscribe if you liked the video. Take the small steps and maybe share some of your experiences of your childhood in the comments. It doesn't have to only be bad memories. Share the good memories too. Remember this quote of Carl Jung and implement it. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become.